May 2023 market update. Here we go. Let's go. When people are asking me how the market is, especially sellers, the honest truth is it just depends, and it depends on that opening weekend and how you present on the market. And some houses are flying off the shelves with multiple offers when presented correctly, and some, even presented correctly, are sitting on the market. And there's really, it's hyper local, and there's a lot of reasons to this happening. Number one, I'll tell you right now, is just how it presents on that opening weekend. So we're going to dive into that and more in the Denver and the suburbs real estate market update for May of 2023. Stay tuned. What's up, everybody? Jeremy Kane with Living in the Denver Suburbs and eXp Realty. So excited to bring you this market update. As you know, I love educating all of you on the market and what is going on, both from a statistical perspective and boots on the ground. I think that's very important, as sometimes statistics can be, manipulated to tell a very different story than that is actually happening. So super excited to do that. But first, please like, comment, subscribe. If you have any questions, let me know. The big thing right now is those property tax valuations are coming out in Colorado counties. If you got that and you would like a little bit of help collecting data to see if it makes sense for you to contest your value, click that link below and check out this video right here if you need more information on that. But first, let's kind of get into this subject. And first things first, we have to talk about the bidding wars coming back. Either you're getting bidding wars on that opening weekend, you kind of have one shot right now to get, everything stirred up. Every once in a while you get, multiple offers down the road. In fact, I just got one of my listings under contract with 2 offers on day 203 on the market, but we don't have to go there. That was a very unique property and a very unique situation. But the truth is that that first week is definitely your best chance to get all of the, people in there. You're driving, traffic into there, and then that's when you get multiple offers, and that's when that price gets driven up, which is obviously good for sellers and not so good for buyers in the bidding war process. But that opening week is super important, so make sure you present. That leads me to my favorite conversation, that the list price is not a price tag, it's a conversation starter. As a listing agent, I like to price homes where I think that they would appraise based on the data that I collect and that I have on the market and both in the neighborhood. However, there's all kinds of different pricing strategies. We can talk about that all day long, but we'll leave that one alone. But understand that as a seller, pricing your home correctly may mean you getting more money than pricing it where you want to try and get. And if it's overpriced, getting less money. And the overpricing, videos and all that stuff is out there. So you can always take a look at that stuff. The truth is that the list price is not a price tag, it's a conversation starter. So what can we do on that opening weekend to make sure it hits, right? Make sure that you have, pictures up and professional pictures, light and bright. That's the number one way. We have all that data at our fingertips nowadays. And so it must show up appropriately on the computer screen and then be an accurate representation on the back end. Obviously, through description and things like that, you can talk about what, the house needs or, whatever, but presenting it appropriately is ultimately very important. Pricing it correctly is also another very important thing, but make sure it looks good. Make sure, everything's cleaned up around the home, around the, landscaping. That curb appeal is huge. Those immediate emotions when buyers walk into homes, I can almost tell immediately when a home that we're looking at is going to be the one that the buyers are going to offer. So understand that that first impression is so important. And if we can get that first impression to be memorable for as many people as possible, that's when we can get bidding wars, and that's when we can get the price driven up. So that's all well and good. So let's talk about inventory, right? We're hearing bidding wars, but we're also seeing some homes stay on the market. Is inventory up like crazy? The truth is no. We only have 104 more homes at the end of April that we did at the end of March. So 4,620 homes active on the market at April's close is definitely a concern. This is the lowest since 2008 based on the end of April. So as we see that number kind of decrease, that's definitely concerning, as we need more inventory as, the Fed, and we'll talk about them in a second, but as we think that, the rate hikes might be over, we might be into a recession as we see some of those, critical numbers coming in where they need to be. And so that's where we really get worried, because if those mortgage interest rates drop, then what? Then we're going to see a flood to the market. And if we have very low, historically low inventory, that's going to be a real problem. The next number we look at is closings. Closings dropped 318 units month over month, and that's something that is definitely something to consider. Only 3,701 total. That's the lowest since 2011, and the first drop in closings since 2008. And so there you have it. I know where we're going with this. I just said the word 2008 twice, and those of you that are aware, 2008 was the front end of the worst real estate downturn in history. Obviously, recession brought on by the housing market and the faulty lending practices. And so that's something that really concerns us. When we hear 2008 twice in a market update, we're like, uh-oh, what's that mean? So 2008 comparisons, let's talk about this a little bit. One thing is the vacancy rate is only 0.8% and nationwide, and those vacant houses are usually the ones that are eventually could come to the market, or the realtors are out there trying to find them and get them sold, because a vacant property typically isn't doing much for the seller besides appreciating, but there is cost to that. And so those vacant homes is not going to be the point of relief for that inventory issue. The next thing we look at is new home builds and permits. There was only 1,849 new permits pulled in the month of March, which this is a lagging indicator, so understand that we're working with month-old data, but this is a very low number, and it's the lowest since 2015. And so if we're not building those homes to help inventory, to help when your kids come into the market, and all of a sudden houses can't duplicate but humans can, so when your kids are coming into the market, we need new homes for them instead of more homes. And so those new home builds and the permits being down is also a concern, because we're not keeping up with the people coming into the market with the appropriate amount of homes. And then the next issue, and the reason that most people aren't moving, is that 29% of homes are owned free and clear. So if you're going to purchase a new home and you don't have a loan, chances are you're not really wanting to dive in to a loan. So you can downsize if you own your house free and clear, which if you do, that's great. I will tell you that not a lot of seniors are in that home, owning their home free and clear, or maybe they already, downsized and that's the home they own free and clear. So that's an interesting group, because they're not going to dive into a loan. They're not going to get a higher priced home. And also, if they're going to buy a home that's, less value than theirs, and they're like, I don't know. So that's a tough one. And then you have 90%, 92% of those homes that do have mortgages. So the 71% of homes in Colorado have mortgages. Of that group, 92% of them are under 5% interest rate. And so that's a hard pill to swallow too, especially for those downsizers, those people that usually give us those bigger homes, right? You raise your family, they're off to college, maybe they're, having their own family, maybe they get into a home. So that's where you can host the holiday parties. And that's usually where we get those kind of move up homes for the next generation. And those people are kind of aging in place. And if they do have a mortgage and they're going to sell this, house that's bigger and, whatever, to move into a smaller home, unless they absolutely have to for health reasons or whatever, is a tough pill to swallow when your payment's going to go up and for getting less. And so that's something to really understand, is those people are not bringing their homes to the market either. So as you can see, there's not anything to pump up that inventory. And until we see that inventory really start to increase rapidly, we really have no worry of a crash, because there is enough buyers to, satiate pretty much the entire inventory we have right now and more. And so that supply has to catch up at some point if we're going to see even a balanced market, let alone a crash. And so some people might definitely say it's interesting because we're having this property tax issue now where the valuations are coming in and people are shocked. But, everybody has pulled the flyer out of their neighborhood, flyer box and seen how much homes are. So I don't know a lot of people that have no idea what their home's valued at. But anyways, that's another point. So ultimately, year over year right now, as I've reported on this channel several times, we're going to see a decrease. We're seeing about a 3% to 6% year over year decrease in prices. So from April 2022 to April 2023, we're in between 3 to 6% in the Denver metro markets in price value decrease. And that is, definitely it's a value decrease. Again, it's, equity. So it's not realized. It's not like it's out of your bank account and gone. You would have had to sell at the peak last April in order to capitalize on the max profit probably. However, what we don't consider when we're reporting these 3%, 6% prices being down is the 40% that we've received over the last 2 years. And I've said this many times, but average appreciation in Denver, 30 to 40% over 2 years is absolutely insane, where, our average is 6% in the Denver market over the last 60 years in appreciation. So just losing that little bit after a huge gain is absolutely, something to be said. Now, if you purchased your home just last year, I hope that you made a good purchase and you're comfortable in there, because you might have lost a little value since then. But the truth is, most of those people aren't looking to sell for 3, 4, 5, 6, 30 years. And so that's the part of the population that's probably affected the most, is the people that purchased last April and now they've lost a little bit. But the truth is that just hold on, we'll be okay. The real estate market's obviously picking up as we're seeing bidding wars and that kind of stuff, and you'll be just fine as long as you don't, run into a reason you have to sell right now. And you talk about that drop and, that's still a drop and all of this. Well, that was the craziest real estate market in the history. And so we're obviously have to cool off. We can't keep going at that rate. And the honest truth is it was a pretty unhealthy market, as, affordability and all of that was really pushed to the max in that time frame. And so let's talk a little bit about the Fed and inflation, because those are all things that leading indicators of, what we might see in the housing market, because they do affect the mortgage rates. They do not, the mortgage rate, again, that they're talking about, or the Fed rate, is not directly correlated to the 30-year. However, the markets are. And typically when rates go up, people rush to the bond market, and in the bond market, when that is hot and doing well, then mortgage interest rates usually fall. So with this last quarter point increase that we've been talking about, seems like for many years now, but probably just a couple months, with that on the horizon, I think that, so far the inflationary numbers are finally starting to come in, where we're seeing everything pretty much that falls in line, except for the job numbers, really fall in line with what they're trying to do at the Fed. And so those job numbers are something that, is rough. And the truth is that lower inflation is coming, and all the hikes, that they talked about and they comment and everyone reacts and everything happens. The truth is they're manipulating it. And finally, it's starting to work a little bit and get inflation under control. But to pause right now and not make this rate hike might have an adverse effect on the real estate, interest rate market, because everybody's so, dialed in and expecting this to be the last one, even though last time they were a little bit gray about if this would be the last one or if they needed to stop raising them. The truth is the economy is the economy. We don't really control it, but to pause now, we'll definitely see interest rates come up a little bit before they come back down in the mortgage world. And so that brings us to, what does this all mean? And the truth is that affordability is something that we're concerned about, maybe a little bit less right now, because slower appreciation, which we should end this year in a single digit appreciation. We will not see double digit appreciation, which is positive. Slower appreciation plus strong jobs, having 1.6 jobs to every unemployed person means that those jobs have to step up. And so we should see wage increases. And since there are so many jobs, employers should have to raise their wages in order to keep people. And I'm not saying it's going to go up as much as the real estate market or your taxes or whatever. I'm not here to argue that, but slower appreciation mixed with strong wage growth should make affordability more in line and kind of offset some of these shocking, interest rate debacles and the property taxes that are coming around in Colorado. And again, if you need anything on those property taxes, there's a link below. I would love you to click and I will take care of that for you, give you the data you need to appropriately contest your real estate evaluation, which will indirectly affect your property tax increase coming next year. And so really what's going on with the market and the buyers, people aren't waiting, right? As we see, people have gotten used to the 6% plus interest rate and people are just kind of diving in. They want to get in now. They know that bidding wars are back. They know that they're not as bad as they were. It's just time, right? And it's time to get out of renting and it's time to start building wealth. And the truth is we can't control what we can control. We, don't control the interest rate, but if we're paying rent, we're paying 100% interest rate. So at the end of the day, people are coming into the market. Gen Zs are buying homes much earlier. Those are like the 21-year-old, crowd right now. They're buying homes much earlier than their parents. So they are coming into the market and that is a positive thing. So they're saying, this is what it's going to cost to live. We're getting used to this affordability and hopefully we see some balance. If the rates do come down, 6 months, 2 years, whatever, look at refinancing. I will tell you that your home has to appreciate in value if you're going to refinance. So if we see a dip, that could be a major deal. I guess if it just stays the same and you get a big enough rate decrease, you could definitely have, take care of that, but you might have to pay the lender because believe it or not, refinances do cost money. So sounds like we're going to be okay. It's actually a really good market to be in right now. It seems like buyers are having the opportunity to get into homes. Homes aren't going ridiculously over. There are those that are, super desirable and, they're going to go in bidding wars. But the honest truth is you can probably bounce to that next house that's just around the corner and maybe priced a little lower and maybe has to, you put a kitchen in or whatever. And maybe that's your opportunity. So the cherry on top, absolutely. Those ones are going to be the best. I think in any market, those are going to, instill demand and get things rolling. But the truth is that if you just look outside the box a little bit, maybe on day 5 or 6 on the market, you are able to get some homes, under contract for list price or maybe even a little bit below if they don't have that competition. So pay attention a lot right now. On the weekends, it seems like you do get a little bit of jump on weekend 2 and weekend 3. So if you're midweek and you missed out on that one, look at what's on the market on Tuesday and Wednesday from the week before and maybe jump into that. So super excited and happy to, bring out that affordability may start to come down. Right then we're going to see those taxes come up and that's going to also affect your payment, maybe $100, $200, $300 a month, which will affect affordability as well. So we need those wages to continue to go up and that appreciation to kind of help us out there, but and not explode like it did. So hope that all makes sense to you. Very positive market right now. I feel like it's a little bit more less chaotic, I guess I should say. So that's all I got for May of 2023, living in the Denver suburbs real estate market report. As always, like, comment, subscribe. We'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.